Hi, I'm Chenire Carter, and I'm the Chief Experience Officer of Memory Maker Inc., and this is my experience. As your first guest on my experience, honestly, I did not know what to expect. I still was deciding what are these experiences, and now, these many years later, I just feel so honored and grateful that the name of that segment has lent itself to many experiences that not only have we done together, but I've been able to do with the people in my care. I have, really had a blossoming business now, doing various things, creating experiences for others, making memories, infusing magic into everyday moments, and then to go from my parent company of Memory Maker Inc. all the way to what's now called Couple Care. It's been exciting to just create these moments and then to have someone like you to help me document them. One of my favorite memories that we discussed previously was, doing a photo shoot and having a surprise experience. I want to say that that's still one of my favorite memories, but for different reasons. So on that particular occasion, I actually was stepping out on faith and doing something that I had not done before. It was my first styled shoot, and I wanted to make sure that my particular client at that time had the experience of a lifetime. Because of that very experience, not only are they still a client of mine, it gave me the confidence to booster the businesses that I have now. And now I'm the go-to person for the go-to person. So when there comes to an opportunity to make an ordinary day extraordinary, I love that my clients come to me. They know they want to do something amazing. They just need a little bit of help from the memory maker to do so. So that particular experience was, really decking out a hotel space after a long video shoot and them not knowing that was going to happen. Fast forward, same client had just a regular everyday weekend and wanted to make that special. So I did everything from book the hotel to making sure that they had what I like to call commercial breaks of how to show their affection for each other. So I love the progression that I was able to make by just taking a chance on myself and having others take a chance on me to create these lifelong memories. Oh, Couple.care. I mean, it has become one of my favorite passion projects, to say the least. First, the website came to me in a whim. I was going to do traditionally couplecare.com, and I said, let me see if I could do something like this. And it's coming from a belief system that you get what you have the courage to ask for. And so just by just a little bit of curiosity and just seeing if it was available, seeing if it was something that I could do, I now feel like I have just one of the boss websites out there, Couple.care. But just that spin-off, I wanted to make sure that my couples had a direct connection to concierge-like services in order to keep the spark alive in their relationships. And I realized how important that was just on my own relationship journey. I've been married, I've been dating, I've done the gambit, and I recognize that it only takes very small moments in order to make a lasting impression. And so when I'm teaching my couples how to just do some very simple tasks to keep their relationship alive, it kind of brings me joy too, because I realize that no one wants to have all of this success and not be surrounded by the people that they love, or have all of this success and wind up being solo or single doing it. And so just by basis of thinking about where I want to be and where I want to go, I multiply any thought that I have by 1,000, maybe even 1,000,000, and realize there's probably other people out there like myself that has a dream, have passion, have potential, and want to make sure that once they reach those things, they're not by themselves. And so that's where Couple Care was born. It is literally the other side of self-care. And we all know how important it is to take care of ourselves in these times, but taking care of our relationship is equally as important. My earliest memory of being a memory maker, I couldn't have been no more than maybe 11. So I tell this story all the time of celebrations that we had as a kid. Growing up, our biggest celebration was probably our parents' anniversary. We didn't celebrate very much else. And so being the eldest of two other sisters, I would be the one who would say, we gotta do something for mommy and daddy, we gotta do something for mommy and daddy. So whether that was making breakfast in bed, making homemade cards when they would go away and sticking them into their suitcases, whether that was making up a dance, like the whole choreography in order to surprise them. I wanted to make sure that on this particular day that they celebrated their love, that I wanted to let them know how grateful I was for them being my parents, for one. And although I didn't have a lot of money, I wanted them to know that they were truly loved. And those are probably my earliest memories of doing that, and how I got affirmed that this was something that I should do. I threw my parents a wedding anniversary, and they actually mentioned all of the things that we would do as a kid in order to celebrate that day for them. And now here we are, 40 years later into their marriage, celebrating them again. And it really, and that was about 10 years ago now, they're about to celebrate their 50th. That was really confirmation that you can do something super small, super simple, with not a lot of money, and it lasts and it stays with the person. And so I always say that the ultimate goal of memory making, leaving a lasting impression, weaving yourself into the tapestry of someone's life is that many, many, many years from now, is this your favorite story to tell? Because after all, that's all memories are, just your favorite stories to tell. I think over time, the language that my sisters and I have become intentional, but it wasn't that. What I've realized that when you have shared experience, you don't have to say a lot. So because we grew up together, we have a lot of shared experiences, we can say very simple things that the outside world is like, I'm sorry, was that even a complete sentence? It's usually not, but it's probably a reference to something that we hold near and dear. So whether that was a childhood movie, whether that is a song that we created a little hand signal for so that we can have what we like to call our sign language or our love language, we're able to talk in that way. And so when we're together, it kind of comes up sort of innately. We say something, we get a little giggle from it, and from that point forward, that's the code or the signal for that. And so I love the relationship that I have with my sisters, because it also has set the foundation for the relationships that I have with anyone who comes in my path. I try to create a language between the two of us, or many of us, or the language that my couples have, that only they understand. I'm a huge believer that there's an understanding between a man and a woman, or there's an understanding between two people that only they understand. And I think that that's where all the magic happens. This is a tough one because as often as I do travel, there's quite a bit of the world that I'm still super excited to see. And so I like to break down my travel plans from landlocked areas that are iconic, like going to London and seeing some of the sights there, to the type of vacations that I adore, because I am a beach bunny at heart. So whether that's Fiji or Thailand, where there's some water involved. I've said that I wanted to go to Africa, of course, Ghana in particular, mainly to shop for fabrics, but also just to experience culture. For me, anytime that I'm traveling, even if it's in the United States and it's a place that I have not been, for me, I just want to become fast friends with the natives, and I want to experience what they experience. And so this series is so appropriate because that's the way I live my life. I am constantly trying to manufacture future nostalgia. So that means that when I am in the moment, I'm constantly looking at and being intentional about what do I want to fondly remember later on. And so I've been truly grateful and blessed of the places that I've had an opportunity to travel to. And sometimes those places are right in my own city, and I'm looking for these hidden jewels and gems so that I can be a tourist in my own town, so that I can share that with other people, not just the experience, but how they can have this as well. Ooh, my style. This is a great question, actually. I'm gonna give my mother a lot of the credit for my sense of style, but in addition to that, her ability to allow me to be. We didn't have a lot of money, so we would go to what I now know as thrifting, but we would call it Sally's for the Salvation Army and the Goodie for the Goodwill. And she really taught us how to find these hidden gems there. But then she allowed me to be creative. I've always gravitated to both colors, prints, and patterns. And so the older I got and she would allow us to pick out our own clothes, I would come out with something that didn't match, and she would be okay with it. And I'm honored that I had someone who nurtured my creativity, as opposed to saying red goes with red or blue goes with blue. Whatever I would come out with, she would honor that. And so as I continue to grow into my own sense of self, I'm going to an all-girls school. It was kind of the way that I stood out. I would put together colors and pieces that may not traditionally go together, but it gave me confidence. And so as I continue to grow into these mini versions of myself and just adopt additional styles with the titles that I'm being blessed to have, I feel like the way that I put pieces together speaks to the way that I'm thinking. Sometimes it is just I want to stand out, and sometimes I just want to show my level of creativity. And sometimes it's just that little boost. You go out and you're feeling your best self, and that energy exudes. And without fail, someone says, hey, I like your shirt, your skirt, your head wrap, your sneaker. And that energy that they give me by just that very simple compliment gives me just enough passion and fire to continue on to do the work that I feel like I've been put here to do. And so some of it is super intentional, and some of it is just over time I've been allowed to be me. And I think that is where the blessing is. Okay. My one and only daughter, the OG, the only girl, she said something to me which really changed how I viewed her. And I love when you get a life lesson from an unexpected place. And she said to me, she said, Mom, we are cut from the same cloth. We both like fashion, but we're making different garments. And that really stuck with me as I tried to either make her more me in my great qualities and less me in some of the flaws and mistakes that I had. And so when she said that to me, it really gave me an opportunity to allow her to be her. And so although we look incredibly alike, I do know that she has her own journey to go on. And so some of the things that I admire about her, at all of 22, she has several businesses. She is so into her family. That is her why she has the goals and the drive that she has. I really admire that I don't agree with everything, and it's so okay. And yet she knows that I'm a safe place in order to tell me about some of these hiccups that she maybe had on her journey, her own journey. And so I think that's very simple fashion analogy of just because we're cut from the same cloth doesn't mean that we're making the same garment, allowed me to free myself up of what she should be more like and what she should be less like, and just allowing her to be. And then as I, marvel at this thing called motherhood, I realized that that gift was given to me, and I'm so happy to pass that down to my daughter. Yes, my oldest son, super smart, wise beyond years, but he's been that way since he was about 3 years old, such an old soul. And then my middle son, or my youngest, I try to give them all titles. I have my oldest son, my youngest son, and then my only daughter. He has a heart of gold. I say as much as my oldest son is savvy, my youngest son is sweet. It's a great combination as a mother because I just know that when I get old, I'll be well taken care of. One will be financially able to put me someplace nice, I hope, and one will come and visit me when I'm there. But I think that is the biggest comparison of the differences, but they are more alike than different. They both have found amazing wives that, as great of a job that I feel I've done with them, they have made them better. And then they are amazing fathers. And so just seeing that legacy building has done my heart giving me so much joy. I'm like getting emotional because I know that not everyone gets to see their legacy like this. And here I am, just so blessed to see my sons have sons, and what they dream upon their life is probably the same dreams that I have had for them since they have entered this planet. And so whether we have super savvy or super sweet, they are literally my sunshines. So Memory Maker Inc. literally was born out of my passion and desire to make life's moments memorable. And I've always been that person for many people. They're like, oh, Chenire knows the spots, Chenire is gonna do it big. But it wasn't that for me. It was really being able to look back and be super nostalgic, which is one of my favorite feelings to have. And so almost 4 years ago now, I birthed this amazing business, but I didn't know exactly what it was going to be back then. And now I can see such a clear path of how I can help entrepreneurs in their businesses recognize that memories lead to money, and how that when you do this right, not only just for your staff, for your employees, but for your clients, for your proposals, for your potential, that you not only are leaving a lasting impression, which we know is another word for memory, but you're also bringing in revenue to your particular business. And then as an adjacent, or as a compliment, as a dessert to this, because I serve a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of powerhouse professionals, I realize that as we continue to do the things that make our businesses grand, whether that's event enhancement, whether that's me laying down the backdrop to your memories with interior styling, whether that's making sure that your brand is on point, that oftentimes we don't take care of home like we should. And I think that is tragic. I am a serial entrepreneur. Over the course of my lifetime, had many, many businesses with myself and my partner. And one of the things that we look back on and say we could have done differently or would have done differently is actually having a plan for how we would keep the relationship alive. Not just the business, but keep the relationship alive. And so building off of my own experiences, I recognize that nobody wants to be successful, but then be solo or single. And so during this journey, as we continue to map out our potential, our passion, I want to make sure that we have balance. And in our lives, and that we are raising those amazing kings and queens, and that we are being a valued member of society, and that the person who's riding really hard for us, and that could be anybody, you know what I mean? It could be your significant other, it could be your mom, it could be your sister, it could be your best friend. But the people who are riding hard for us as we go through this entrepreneurial journey, that they realize that it's the two of us that are getting through this together. And so I never want anyone to feel like they're not a priority, although that we're working really hard. And I never want anyone to feel beneath the business, because after all, things come and go, but the people who are with us, they stay, and I want them to have amazing stories to tell. So I'm Chenire Carter, the Chief Experience Officer of Memory Maker Inc., and you can visit us at memorymakerinc.com. And I'm also your amazing couple concierge at couple.care. And this has been my experience.
I love it.
I can't move. Can I get it?
I love it.
I'm super proud of them. Thank you, sorry. Messing it up.
It's perfect.
Ugh.